Okay, so as we go into this particular lesson, I did just want to jump on here and say that this lesson is not intended to freak you out because I know it can have that effect whenever you start talking about licensing and restrictions and copyright laws and all of that stuff. I know it can be quite intimidating. So please just note that, first of all, everything in this lesson is intended for guidance purposes only. I'm not a copyright lawyer, so always check the licensing restrictions on any new software and tool that you use, and we'll go through how to actually check that on the different platforms. But just know that it's not as scary as a lot of the articles out there make it seem. It's really just sort of best practices. So the actual resources that I'll be giving you that are 100% free for you to use make it very clear from the very first homepage through to their terms and conditions that you can use their images and their videos and their graphics for whatever you need to use them. So just if you're ever not sure, just pull from websites that you know are 100% free for you to use. If you're ever not sure, then make sure that you seek advice from people who do this for a living, or make sure that you're actually outright purchasing the assets if you're not sure if you're able to use them for free. But we are going to go into exactly where to look for information on all the different websites and how to know what's free, what isn't, and how you can use it. So please don't worry too much. I just want to give you this information so that if you ever come across it, you'll know what it means, and you know what it means in terms of how you can use the material that's found there. All right, and hopefully you're a little bit excited. I know this is a little bit too nerdy, but I just wanted to preface it by saying it's not as scary as it might seem, and we'll get through it together. All right, let's jump in. So some basic terms for you to be familiar with in terms of taking images, videos, artwork, photograph, and music off the internet and using them for your own purposes. And let's first talk about royalty free. This license type grants the buyer a determined set of rights to use content in multiple ways for a flat one-time fee, which basically means you pay for the license once and you can use it forever within the accepted ways without any further payment. You'll often see stock image companies using this term. So that means that you can purchase an image once from a site like Shutterstock, and then you can use it on your website as many times as you want. Then there's the Creative Commons. So Creative Commons is a non-profit organization that is dedicated to building a globally accessible public commons of knowledge and culture. They basically help creators license their content according to the type of restrictions that they want to place on people actually purchasing and using their content. So CC0 or Creative Commons 0 is the least restrictive license out there. It lets you distribute, remix, adapt, and build upon, and even commercially, without needing to attribute the original creator of the work. Other Creative Commons licenses might allow for free use, but might require attribution to the author. And let's now talk about non-commercial versus commercial, because you'll see this around a little bit, so I wanted to cover it. And starting with non-commercial, which basically means something is not primarily intended for or directed towards commercial advantage or monetary compensation by an individual or organization. So for example, if you're going to be using something in a lecture presentation in a class you're taking or for your personal projects, then that would be non-commercial. Whereas commercial use of an image would be reproducing it in any manner that is primarily intended or directed towards commercial advantage or monetary compensation. Okay, so lots of big words, but essentially examples of this would be images or any sort of media like videos or music that are used in TV production or used in advertising like Facebook ads or something like that. The important thing to note is that music distribution is the most monitored of all content use because it's also the easiest for programs to actually pick up any copyright issues on. So for example, if you tried to use a popular song by DJ Khaled as the background song for your Facebook ad or in your YouTube video, it'll automatically get rejected. On other platforms, though, it might not get rejected as long as you credit the artist at the end, but generally it is best practice with all content use to either use content that's completely free for you to use without attributing the original creator or to just purchase it if that's what's required. Of course, the exception to this is TikTok and Reels, but that's not what we're covering here. This is mainly for your other assets for your marketing. But the good news is that platforms dedicated to actually providing you with either free or paid content are dedicated to transparency. So it's actually really easy to find out whether the content you're taking from the web is free for you to use or should be purchased or how can you use it. All of this is really, really transparent. So if there are any copyright issues with your work, by the way, you'll usually get a warning to re-upload your work without the copyrighted element on platforms like Facebook and YouTube. So don't read all the scary articles out there that'll tell you it's the end of the world if you don't read every licensing T&C out there. But that being said, just get into really good habits and get into the habit of really only pulling content from platforms that you know are 100% free for you to use and do whatever you want with, just in case. So that means not Google Images, okay? Please don't pull from Google Images. Just don't do it, okay? Please just promise me you're not going to randomly pick from Google Images. I've had clients do this. It is really, really bad practice and it leads to more trouble than it's worth. I will give you lots of really good resources, so hopefully you never have to do this, okay? So on to the better platforms in the next lesson, and I'll see you there.